Oh, hi kids. Mr. Lee back at the season finale. Let's get started. No time to dilly-dally. Like, that's when you take too long. Chop, chop. Stop, lollygag, and move it along. By the way, this is the last science video of the year. I know that's something sad for you to hear. There. Have no fear. It's going to be okay. Just dry that tear. Good news. Summer's about to start. Bad news. Mr. Lee's all out of Florida. Sad, I know. Clark, start. It's kind of a lame rhyme. And that's enough of that. Let's get going with pack of time. All right, let's start this final packet. The topic is energy and ecosystems. What is an ecosystem? An ecosystem includes all the living and non-living things in an area. This includes populations and communities of many different animals. A population is a group of organisms of one species that live in the same area at the same time. And a community is all the populations that live in an area. So in a grassland ecosystem, you have a large population of lions, a small population of wildebeests, and a large population of elephants. All these populations could make up a community in one area of Africa. A habitat is where an organism lives. All living things will have a role to play in their environment. A niche is an organism's role in the environment. For example, producers, such as plants, provide energy to all the organisms that eat the plant directly or indirectly. So producing energy for other organisms is their niche. An environment is made up of biotic, this is a typo, should be of biotic and abiotic factors. What factors? So biotic, abiotic. When you have a on the beginning of the word, kind of like when you have in, it means the opposite, like complete or incomplete. A is another prefix that also means like the opposite of the rest of the word. So example would be typical. Something that's typical is like ordinary, normal, regular. If it's atypical, it's like out of the ordinary, something unusual. So that's an example. You got biotic and then abiotic. So biotic factors are living, bio. The root word bio means living. Biotic factors are the living components of an environment. Living components include plants and animals because they are living organisms. So bio, life, living. Abiotic, if we just talked about how the prefix a means opposite, that means non-living. Abiotic factors are the non-living components of an environment. Abiotic factors include the sun, wind, air temperature, soil, precipitation, all important and even essential, but they're not living. So if it's something that's alive, it's biotic. Other stuff is abiotic. Water ecosystems. Okay, I'm going to skip this section because it's pretty straightforward. Things you're all familiar with. Rivers, wetlands, it's like a marsh or a swamp. Oceans, you can read through this section by yourself. Ecosystems can change, but how? A variety of organisms and natural events can change an ecosystem. Changes can occur rapidly or over long periods of time. Animals and plants can harm or help an ecosystem. If an organism takes over an ecosystem, it can change it by reducing available resources. There's an example of this. Even when we were still in school in third quarter, we were watching CNN 10. Maybe you watched it in other classes. I know we watched it in Duke, and it was talking about in some parts of Africa, there was a locust plague. Basically, like a ton of insects were swarming and eating up all the crops. That would be an example of an organism that was taking over an ecosystem. For example, if weeds take over a lawn, they leave no room or nutrients for grass to grow. They block the sunlight and the grass cannot grow. People can change an environment. When people cut down forests in order to build new homes and buildings, they're taking away homes and food sources essential to the lives of many organisms and thus changing the ecosystem. Pollution caused by people can negatively affect the environment as well. Natural events such as windstorms, as in hurricanes and tornadoes, and floods can quickly change an ecosystem. So real quick, it can happen in a matter of minutes, just wipe out a whole forest if a hurricane or a tornado comes through, by destroying the habitats and food sources of many animals and the growing environments of many plants. Not all change in the ecosystem is bad, of course. Some things can be a beneficial change to an environment. So if it's something that benefits you, that means it's good. When a beaver builds a dam, it stops the flow of water, creating a pond, which provides homes and food for many organisms. So that's a good thing. It changed it to where the water's not flowing down the stream or the river, whatever it is, and it kind of pools up, it creates a pond, but now that creates a home for different type of animals. Flow of energy. All animals need energy to carry out their life processes, to move, to run, to hunt, to build homes, to do everything. You have to have energy. A food chain represents how energy is transferred from one organism to another. An energy pyramid represents the amount of energy that flows through an ecosystem. Producers have the most energy in an ecosystem. You can see that the producers are at the base of the energy pyramid. That means that there are more of them than any other kinds of creatures. All right, now again, I think this is not necessarily a typo, but some sort of mistake how they made the packet, because since they're saying you can see, it makes it seem like there should be an image or a picture that goes right here with it. So real quick, I'm going to scroll to the very end of the packet to let you see what they're referring to. You can see, okay, so let's scroll down here and see. This very last, well, not the very last, but down at the very bottom on the last page, this is what they're referring to, energy pyramid. Shaped like a pyramid. On the bottom, the biggest little layer looks kind of like a cake. So the very base, the bottom layer, that has the most producers. All right, that's what it's talking about, the energy pyramid. It's kind of related to the concept of a food chain or food web. All right, producers are at the base. All right, a lot of energy is released as heat into the environment. Animals get their energy from the food they eat, from eating other animals. Oh, hold on, I got distracted. Animals get their energy from the food they eat, from eating other animals and or plants. They then use that energy to run around and carry out life processes. When they're busy running around, energy is released as body heat from the animal or animals, and is lost into the environment. So just kind of like about from personal experience, especially coming up when it's about to be summertime and it's a little bit warm outside and you're running around playing on the playground. Whenever they open those back up or whatever you're doing, you're sweating, you're putting off heat, you feel hot, you need to cool off, hydrate, take a break. Energy is getting released. Growth and survival of population. All right, now, you've probably heard this phrase before. There's a phrase that's called coming full circle. And what it means is you kind of end up doing the same thing that you started doing. So we've learned a lot of stuff all year long. But when I say that this is bringing it full circle, that means this very final topic in this final packet is the same thing that we very first started the year talking about. So we are coming full circle, because you might remember, in fact, I hope you do. I hope every experiment and every lesson we ever had is just ingrained in your mind. You'll never forget it, and you'll be super ready for middle school science because you just know so much. Back on week 1 of school, if you were here, we were talking about thriving, threatened, endangered, extinct, and we had an experiment or like a little activity where we had like a little circle of life is what I called it. It was like looked like a spinning wheel on some sort of game with little slices like a pie or a pizza, and they were labeled like offspring or death, or I can't remember all of them. But it took like little crumpled up pieces of paper, and they're supposed to be talking about the fish population, so we called them papiranhas, and you just dropped them all on there, and depending on whatever little slice it landed on, you had to add an extra one if it was a birth, or you took it away if it was a death. That was a little simulation of this exact concept that we are now coming full circle with. All right, populations, growth and survival of population. Populations of plants and animals can grow and survive in an environment if they have food and sun, have shelter, can reproduce, and are not eaten faster than they can reproduce. Many times, plants and animals need to adapt to their ever-changing environment. That means they got to change something. They got to do things differently to be able to survive. Those that adapt survive. Those that don't adapt, unfortunately, die. Which brings up 2 words, endangered and extinct. Those animals who can't adapt to harmful changes in the environment, those who are killed faster than they can reproduce, or those who have their resources become too limited may become endangered, which means they are in danger of losing all their species, or they're in danger of dying out. That's kind of a strange way to phrase it, losing all of their species, of being killed off completely. So endangered means they're in danger. Tigers are an example of an endangered species. To be extinct means that there is not one living member of a species left on Earth. Not one. Endangered, not many. Extinct, there's not any. Not a single one. Dinosaurs are an example of an extinct species. Food shortage, limited resources, dramatic changes in climate. That would be like a drought where it doesn't rain for the longest time and all the vegetation, all the plants die, and the animals that eat the plants die, and then the animals that eat the plants die, and then on and on and on. So that would be an example of a change in climate. And human intervention are just a few main reasons for the extinction of animals. Fossils are evidence that a great number of plants and animals have become extinct over time. So a lot of times archaeologists discover fossils of plants that are no longer alive or animals. So that means they must have become extinct. All right, just a few questions like we've been doing. If you've been following along in these weekly distance learning packet videos, a few questions and you can complete the final packet before you start your summer break. Because we have not been on summer break. You're about to start your summer break this week. All right, so number 1, page 4. Ecosystems include blank in the same area. Ecosystems. Oh, that's like the total main topic we're talking about. Very start of the packet. An ecosystem includes all the living and non-living things in an area. Very first sentence goes with the very first question. Let's see. Ecosystem includes all the living and non-living things. There we go. Easy. Page 5. And I don't know what happened right here with this little highlighter streak. Ignore this part. And focus on number 7. That was some sort of glitch. A hurricane, get back my laser pointer, is an example of a natural event that can, so this is like a little radar image, satellite image of a huge, you can see the eye, the center where it's swirling around, big old storm is about to come hit the land. So it is a hurricane, and it can change an ecosystem rapidly, change an ecosystem slowly, develop an ecosystem, dry out an ecosystem. Let's see, hurricane. Oh yeah, we just read in the packet talking about like windstorms. It referred to, like a windstorm would mean a tornado or a hurricane. Where was that? Oh yeah, right here, natural events, such as windstorms, as in hurricanes and tornadoes, and floods, can quickly change an ecosystem by destroying the habitats. Okay, so quickly, that's the main thing we want to focus on right there. Can quickly. Okay, it happens like all of a sudden, matter of minutes. Can change ecosystem rapidly, quickly, rapidly. Oh, those are synonyms. This is the one right here, A. And final question, page 6, question 8. What might happen to a species that cannot adapt to harmful changes in their ecosystem? This is, again, bringing it full circle. The last question we'll go over, very similar to the very start of the year. All right, what might happen to a species that cannot adapt? All right, let's see, we just got done talking about that. Cannot adapt. Let's see, it was right in this section. Okay, see, those that adapt survive, those that don't adapt unfortunately die. They can adapt, means they don't adapt, they unfortunately die. And plus, a lot of times these pictures are giving you hints. If you recognize this animal, you'll be like, oh, I know about that, that must be this. This right here, you'll see it in pictures, you'll never see a real one, but it's called a dodo bird. Sounds like an insulting name, a dodo bird. That might be like what you'd call, you think somebody's a dummy. Come on, dodo. That's an insult. I wouldn't recommend you say that to somebody, but anyway, a dodo bird. That species increases its reproduction rate, so that means they have a lot more offspring. They're having a lot of babies. The number of that species stays the same, so it doesn't go up, doesn't go down, stays exactly the same. The number of that species increases, or that species becomes extinct. Yep, the dodo bird. They died off completely. Extinct. D. All right, so that completes the packet. Go ahead and finish up the rest of it yourself throughout the week. There is no quick check this week, so you're not going to have to take a quiz or anything. It's just a matter of you learning this material to get really good and ready for middle school. You show up day 1 with all this science knowledge, just really impress your 6th grade science team. All right, well, that completes your science instruction for your 5th grade year. For your elementary, that was the last piece of science information that you need to be taught in elementary school. You are now ready for middle school. So I hope you have a safe and healthy summer. Just enjoy yourself. Get ready for middle school. You guys are ready. So just show up day one. Hopefully we'll be back to normal and you'll show up in the classroom on the first day of school. We can just hope that's the case. And just really be able to wow your teachers. Like, you guys are ready for this. So it's been an unforgettable year. Literally unforgettable. You're gonna be like 40 years old. Remember that time in 2020 when I was in 5th grade and we like didn't even have school at all the fourth quarter, like in a classroom. Of course we did our distance learning and that was like at home school, but man, that was kind of crazy. It's been an unforgettable year. So again, stay safe, stay healthy. I hope to be able to see you guys in the future. If you go to Lester, I'm gonna be at Cornerstone, Lord willing. Planning on being there next year, so at an appropriate time, like, don't come barging in and interrupt my class or anything with next year's 5th graders, but you see me in the hallway, say hey. Look forward to seeing y'all. Wish you all the best. Have a good summer.